okay, in 6 weeks, I'm going on this trip. In
Mm,
6 weeks, it's going to be bathing suit season or whatever the case is. And so we're in that mindset of a short term quick fix and
right.
not a long term lifestyle. And so the yo yo comes from that point of depriving yourself and then binging
Mm,
or
mhm.
going on really strict exercise programs and then stopping. And so rather than that all or nothing attitude and that all or nothing approach, we actually teach women how to have margin.
Mm,
And so we feast is part of the name of our business, and that's what we do every single week. We have a feast day
mm.
where our women are able to truly just do that feast. They have a day where it's built in the program. It is not a cheat. Again, that's not our mindset. Our mindset is this is the day I get to do all the things, eat all the things, whatever. It is a essentially a free day.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever and wherever you are watching or listening. This is the Holistic Monitor, and I'm your host, Nick Sconia. The Holistic Monitor is a wellness podcast featuring life energy research, health and wellness transformation, self-improvement and empowerment, philosophy, spirituality, and now guest interviews as well. We look forward to your comments on our YouTube channel at Holistic Monitor, and you can also listen on the go with us at Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and more. And with that, let's get today's show started. Sarah B. Thomas, you are the owner of Burn, Fat, and Feast,
Yes, I am.
and you also have a podcast or a
Yes.
show. Yeah.
Yes.
And what's the name of that?
So our podcast is the Burn, Fat, and Feast podcast. We try to keep it as simple as possible.
Very good. Yeah. Uh, basically, it looks like you're doing a fitness style coaching program. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate. We're multifaceted, and so we are a comprehensive wellness lifestyle. And so I try to really hone in on the word lifestyle here because it's not a program. It's not a really a beginning and an end because we're
Mm,
talking about wellness.
right.
And, we're not about the quick fix. We are about a lifestyle, a better, sustainable, and simple, healthy lifestyle. And our goal is to prevent illness and disease
Mm,
for mainly for women. We also work with men, but we mainly work with women just because women are a little bit more complex with
mm-hmm.
the metabolism and the hormone changes as we age. And that's really our niche is working with women in, I like to say, the second half of life when hormones and metabolisms are really changing. And so our goal is to empower women to really create that mental strength. Obviously, yes, lose some weight, but increase your metabolism, balance hormones, and really finally stop that yo yo dieting to live a true lifestyle.
Right. The yo-yo dieting being programs that begin and end,
Right, and
typically.
just fad diets in general,
Mm,
or just the mindset, and so many women are in that mindset of, "Okay, in 6 weeks, I'm going on this trip. In
mm,
6 weeks, it's going to be bathing suit season," or whatever the case is, and so we're in that mindset of a short-term quick fix and
right.
not a long-term lifestyle, and so the yo-yo comes from that point of depriving yourself and then binging
Mm,
or
mhm.
going on really strict exercise programs and then stopping. And so rather than that all or nothing attitude and that all or nothing approach, we actually teach women how to have margin.
Mm,
And so we feast is part of the name of our business, and that's what we do every single week. We have a feast day
mm.
where our women are able to truly just do that feast. They have a day where it's built in the program. It is not a cheat. Again, that's not our mindset. Our mindset is this is the day I get to do all the things, eat all the things, whatever. It is a essentially a free day.
Mm, okay. Now, do you find that the further down the line somebody is in the new lifestyle, that the less that they want to indulge in all the bad stuff during the feast day?
Yeah, that's the interesting part. That's funny that you asked that. I had a new member ask that to me
Hmm.
recently. She said, "Is this strategic in the sense that you're giving this to us, but we don't want it after a while?" And that's just the way our body was created. It wasn't, it's not a trickery on my part at
Right.
all, but it's our way our body was created. And honestly, there's been a lot of research around our brain and how our brain doesn't want to feel deprived. And so that's why a lot of times that triggers that binging. It's not necessarily just a craving, it's actually our brain saying, I want this thing because you have not allowed me to have it
Hmm.
for so long, whether it's a physical thing or, it's a mental thing or whatever the case is in your life. Our brain wasn't wired to want to be deprived for a long time. And so when we allow it that freedom,
Hmm.
and we do it on a regular basis and we're no longer on that yo-yo up and down back and forth, we're equalizing so many things in our life, not just food but everything else, our hormones, our metabolism, how our body is reacting to things, our irritability, our personality, everything is kind of leveling out. And so because of that, when we walk through our feast day, oftentimes it changes, and it changes with us as we learn and as we grow. And so I have been living this lifestyle for 12 years now.
Hmm.
And I will say that personally, my feast day has changed as well. I used to spend all day, just indulging in all the things. Now I don't feel that I need that. And it's not oh, I'm not going to allow myself all day. I just don't feel like I need it. I feel that if I have a meal or a treat or some alcoholic drinks, whatever it is that I want that day, I have those few things and then I'm good and I'm awesome. I feel amazing. I don't feel deprived. I feel satisfied and I feel good enough to go through the rest of the week.
Hmm. And you prescribe that day to be the same day every week?
We do, yes. In the program, it is on Saturday. And so there's a few reasons behind this being Saturday, but kind of give you, the top of the line here. It is basically because Saturday is more of an unstructured day for most of us.
Hmm.
We're not working, we're with family, we're with friends. Again, a lot of our women are with family and going out, or they're with friends, and it's a social type of day
Mm.
for them. And so because of that, we incorporate that as our feast day.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because that's, everyday life, Monday through Friday. There's the schedule that
Right.
maintains everything, and then there's Saturday, and that who knows what's happening on Saturday. So keeping that
Exactly.
same schedule would be really tough. And then Sunday is obviously a get back to routine type of day as well.
Yeah, and that's really key here is that your feast day is one day. It's
Hmm.
not a
Hmm.
Friday into Saturday into Sunday. But with that said, our flexible lifestyle is just that. It's flexible to be sustainable. So oftentimes, and I'll use Thanksgiving for an example because we're upon the holiday season here on the time of the recording.
Right.
Thanksgiving is a Thursday, right? That
Hmm.
will be our feast day. Some of
Hmm.
us use Thanksgiving as Thursday, some of us Friday, Saturday. And so you can maneuver that around. It doesn't have to be Saturday. That's typically where we find it. But on a week such as that, you might move that feast day around, and that's
Mm.
okay.
Yeah, so holidays would throw a wrench in the organized, scheduled week.
Right.
Thanksgiving, great example because it's always Thursday. Christmas, who knows what day. These are days
Hmm.
that are kind of off schedule. So those would be basically like, go ahead and do whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Go ahead and move it around. And so, we have a weekly schedule. We actually have a monthly schedule, but you can look at it a week at a time and figure out what works for you that week. And so, oftentimes, if like our clients are going out on, let's say, a date night on a Friday night, and they're like, I know it's going to be more of a feasty day for
Hmm.
me. Great, use Friday as that day. And so, it doesn't have to be a holiday week, but obviously, the holidays are a great example of that.
Right, right. Now, what got you started? You said 10 years, I think, that you've been doing
Mhm.
this specific routine. Were you doing something similar before? We're trying other methodologies.
So I have quite a history in wellness. As a child, I was an obese child. And then in my teenage years, I was an anorexic
Mm,
teenager. And so I've kind of run both ends of the spectrum as
mm,
far as that goes early on in life. That really is what led me into fitness and nutrition. I wanted to learn more about how to do it the right way, right?
mm,
All I was doing at that point was just overeating, undereating, and trying to be the girl that fit in.
mhm.
And so I really dove into a lot of nutrition at that point. I became a fitness instructor, a personal trainer, a nutrition coach, and through college started teaching group fitness classes and doing personal training. But at that point in time, my early 20s, I didn't know honestly enough about nutrition and really, to be quite honest, a lot of nutrition that we can just Google and find out information is really old school, and
Mhm.
it doesn't put what I call a lot of the pieces of the wellness puzzle together. It just gives you kind of buckets things, right? Like eat less and move more, calories in versus calories out. And not all of that really fits in when we're talking about overall wellness. And so I personally did the eat less, move more philosophy for over 10 years. I would say about 15 years from 20 until mid 30s.
Mm.
I was doing that approach. I was teaching 20 plus fitness classes a week.
Wow.
I was way under eating. I had 3 kids in that time frame. So
Oh.
I was a mom and, going through all the changes physically in my body. And I was a great example of under eating, over exercising, and carrying around 20 plus pounds of excess fat,
Mm,
not being muscularly toned, and feeling exhausted.
mm.
Like that was me. I was
Yeah.
doing the things that you thought are right, and I felt terrible, and I didn't like the way that I looked or felt on the inside. And so that's really what led me to burn fat and feast. And so what I started doing was really diving into research and putting all those pieces that I'm talking about together
Mhm.
and thinking, okay, under eating, moving more. I can't do any less. Like I
Right.
cannot eat less at this point in time. I cannot move my body anymore. I know I am killing myself. My joints are hurting. I'm sore every day. I know that I cannot do more of this. And if I undereat, I'm literally going to be eating a few pieces of lettuce a day. And so I knew that, like, what is it? Like, what is the problem here? What is the answer? And so I pulled in all the pieces of stress and sleep
Mhm.
and hydration and hormones and metabolism. And those are all the pieces that we're really missing in our streamline, guidelines
Right.
of what we should do. And so when I started pulling all those together, I just thought, you know what? What do I have to lose? I'm going to try all these things.
Mhm.
I'm going to eat more. I'm going to exercise less. And I was scared to death
Mhm.
because I thought, what if I feel worse?
Yeah.
What if I
Right.
no longer fit in my clothes? What if I'm a terrible wife and mom and I'm frustrated and annoyed all the time? But again, I knew something had to change because it just felt terrible.
Mhm.
So that's where really it was born out of my frustration and my feeling of I cannot do this the rest of my life. I am early 30s and I have to figure out how to do this well and feel good for a life.
Yeah. Sounds like you found the middle path in a sense, that place of equilibrium where you blend both the constraint and the give, the gift,
Yeah,
as it were. So before that, you were doing maybe a fight or flight type of modality where you were really
absolutely.
like working a lot. Your body was getting a lot of energy into it, and then you were not giving it a whole lot. So it was trying to store as much energy as it could to kind of counterbalance the lack that it was getting. It's like a deprivation
Yeah,
storage type thing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you may have heard of, the starvation mode of
Hmm.
our body. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
And when we put ourselves in that fight or flight mode, our body wants to hold on to everything because it's afraid. And
Yeah.
that's how it was created. It was created to just preserve everything that it has when it's not given what it needs to survive. Like it
Right.
is in survival mode at that point in time. And so essentially everything shuts down in your body, and that's what mine was doing. And and true for so many women out there.
It's a safeguard. It's it's
Yep.
definitely a mechanism of survival. And when you put it into a state where it feels like it needs to, that's a natural process that it'll start doing the survival mode. And that can last, like you said, years, where your body is just living in that kind of existence. So you basically stumbled upon your own lifestyle change, and that has turned into this global empire that you have, Burn Fat and Feast. And that allows you to kind of what I call food or sugars or all this as kind of like dragons, things in us that tell us what they want, like an addiction. And we do our best to feed it. We think we're doing what we want to do, our own will, and yet it happens to be this chemical in us, or this substance that we have basically addicted ourselves to, that demands us to have more, like sugar, sugar, sugar. And when it starts to lack, it sends that signal and says, more sugar, more sugar. And it's just that natural draw that we have to fall into bad habits. By giving it that day, and this is something that when I was younger, I smoked cigarettes, and something that I realized for a lot of people to stop smoking, to really conquer, not just stop smoking, but to really conquer cigarettes, first you have to make it an enemy. You have to set it aside from yourself, cage it, watch yourself and how you are drawn to act by this addiction. And then after you feel like the main thrashing of the addiction has stopped, for me, for cigarettes, I needed to go out and have a cigarette, and maybe not even have a whole cigarette, because after I would wait a month, and then after that time, it didn't really taste good anyway. So but it was just proof that, like, I can do that if I want. It's there. And so it's like kind of feeding it in a sense, but it's not something I ever need to do. But it's not a no. It's a, yeah, sure, but it has no power over me. And food, same thing with food. If you give it a day, then you've given yourself, your mind, your mindset an allowance, so that it's not craving and fighting you all week. You kind of separate yourself from it.
That's a great way to put it, because just like you're saying with any type of addiction, cigarettes, alcohol, foods, exercise, whatever the case may be, it has power over you. And you don't even realize it, because it's such an immediate, I want it, I get it, I do it, whatever it is. And so oftentimes we don't even pause to realize the power that thing has over us. And what you're saying is you weren't necessarily depriving yourself either. You go a month and then allow yourself to have a cigarette. So you're slowly changing that process of I can't versus delay. And we talk about that a lot. Let's stop, pause, delay, and then ask yourself a few questions, whatever it is that you feel like you need to do. And also we talk about changing the association around, and this might be something that you use too with cigarettes, but changing the association around, like, okay, cigarettes equal all these great things, equals social interactions, and whatever the good things you have associated with that thing, to reassociate it with something that's not positive. It's more of a negative association. That all kind of helps retrain your brain to think differently about that thing. And people talk about cravings a lot, and I mean, cravings are a real thing, but that is also a lack of hormone balance, however you look at it. And especially when we're talking about eating, we're talking about our leptin and our ghrelin, which is our appetite hormone, and our insulin hormones telling us, that we're satisfied or we're hungry. And so when those are out of balance and we are per se addicted to sugar, our body's going to tell us we need more, because there is a level of addiction there.
Right. Addiction and imbalance. Yeah.
And
it could be dangerous too. And I think maybe knowledge in that basis, for me, if the separation, for an example, with cigarettes, is that I had to separate it and mentally make it an enemy, so that it was something that I was very afraid of, and not afraid of, but something I didn't want to do. I wouldn't call
Yeah.
myself a smoker. I removed all implements of smoking, and I watched myself, or I watched the addiction try to convince me, or watch myself nearly slip, that kind of thing.
Yes.
I was able to help other people in the same way break the addiction just by removing it, and then having a friend that didn't have like this, hey, you want to go outside and have a cigarette, because that's
Right.
that habit that you form. So it transformed that to, would you like to go outside? It doesn't have to be for something that you're not going to do because you don't smoke.
Yes.
It's like a retrain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And
Yeah.
then with food, with your clients and people that you work with, are you finding that that is maybe the biggest stumbling block? Is their fridge, or going out to the store? The temptation is right there in front of them, and it's all very accessible, very inexpensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There are a few things around food, and everyone has one that they struggle with more than the other, but the fact that our food, any type of food, is easily accessible is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And what is most inexpensive at the store is the least healthiest. That's
Yeah.
another issue. Uh, Emotional eating is also a big one, especially for women. Um, this is, I feel like, a whole nother podcast episode. I have two teenage daughters,
Mm,
and a 11-year-old son. But where we live right now in our culture and how we're raising children these days
mm,
is to reward them with food.
yeah.
And so we feel that as adults of, well, I deserve this. This should be my reward. And that is a hard mindset shift. And at the same time, a lot of what we just talked about with changing habits, you can do with this same thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
we talk about changing the association. We talk about surrounding yourself with different people, doing something different to get out of maybe some of those habits and creating better systems.
Yeah.
But yes, to answer your question, yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. I feel like this is multifaceted, and depending on your history with food, you kind of veer down one path or the other as far as what you struggle with.
Right. Right. And the types of food. Um, and in your business, how do you approach, or what means do you use to get the message out, and to and who are your most likely candidates to work with?
The message out about our lifestyle in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are very active on social media for our population of women. We're active on Facebook, we're active on Instagram. We also have a podcast called the Burn Fat and Feast podcast. And so people can find us obviously various places online. We do marketing around, kind of around the country as well. But a lot of where we get the word out is through referrals,
Mm-hmm.
through clients who love what they're doing. That is my most favorite way to get the word out, because that's proof right there. That is the social proof that
Mm-hmm.
that we want. Having our clients talk about us positively is the best
Yeah.
best way. Obviously, we do a free 5-day trial as well. We also have like free downloads and those types of things where you can just kind of dip your toe in, so to speak, and learn a little bit more about what we do, whether it's nutrition, whether it's the education that we teach, or it's the fitness, or we have a lot of community support, which is huge for our members to feel like they're connected to one another. So we have lots of freebies there. Our free 5-day trial is the biggest, I would say, conversion
Mm.
for people really getting to understand who we are, what we do. They get a little taste of we have meal plans that we give our clients, what that looks like, what the workouts look like, and kind of get to talk to us and our team too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Have you thought to do any outreach to, and this just came to mind when we're talking about food and kids, outreach to schools where you could go in and kind of build an awareness around getting started early as far as fitness goes, and as far as diet?
Yeah, that interesting that you say that
Hmm.
because yes, I am starting to partner with a few schools in our area. Not actually big public school systems, but some more private schools
Hmm.
is where we're starting, just to have a little bit more of an intimate reach out there. Uh, one of the things, though, that I really love to teach our women in the program is how they can pass it down, how
Hmm.
they can stop that generational cycle.
Yeah.
Because what is so frustrating to me is most women come to me, they have no idea. They have no idea what they should be doing, how they should be doing. They don't know what a macronutrient is.
Mm.
They really are starting from the bottom, which is fine. But for me, I would so much rather a woman come to me and say, "Hey, I know X, Y, and Z. Now can we take it to the next level?"
Right.
And they don't know that because they weren't taught that. And
Hmm.
as a kid, we weren't taught that.
Right.
And so, to start that cycle, we do a lot of here's how you can help your kids, and here's how you can start this process just by educating them, which is something that we have done with our kids from the get go,
Mm.
and really focusing on food as fuel and just moving your body in general, never talking about the physical change in the body, more about just being strong.
Mm.
Again, I have two teenage daughters, so we're
Hmm.
very intentional about how we talk about things and physically our bodies and that sort of thing for body image. But
Hmm.
yes, we are most definitely starting that process, and we hope that we can continue to reach out to other organizations like school systems and get this from the ground up with
Yeah.
our next generation.
I feel like that's a great place to start because it is something that's, when you go to school, when you go to kindergarten and first grade, second grade, you have gym class or you have activity hour or whatever it is that turns into gym class where you're kind of forced to do some sort of activity, whether you like to or not, and then maybe you do
Right.
like to do it and you follow suit into tennis or something like that. But you get the activity because it's kind of like, hey, this is necessary, this is important. But is it really impressed on kids in high school how important movement is, how important just a simple like use it or lose it kind of idea that we're not really trained to understand physiology.
Yeah.
So starting at an early age, I feel like that's got to have the most value. And then, of
Absolutely.
course, you're saying from the parents to start with their kids, also the same kind of idea there is
Mhm.
build a community of people that are responding to their bodies differently and to
Yeah.
addiction too.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's great. And so you do outreach, you do classes online or
Yes.
sessions, I guess. Is that what it would be?
Mhm.
And that's how people can find out more and enroll. It's kind of like a course or a training seminar, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so we are a membership based model. And so everything, all the content, everything is all online. And so when you register, all the content is in a login portal area. You can go and you can find the workouts. You can find, like I said earlier, we do educational training videos. And so that's teaching you, about your sleep, about your cortisol, about everything under the sun that we talk about in our wellness. You also get a coach to help kind of walk you through it, a mentor beside you. You get the whole community of other women online.
Mm.
And so we walk our women step by step through. And so yes, it is laid out week 1,
Mm.
Monday. So we have everything scheduled out for them. There's no guessing. There's no, oh, what do I do next? What should I do? Let me pick this workout.
Right. Right.
With that said, we have a library. So you can pick different
Yeah.
workouts if you want to. You can watch other educational training videos. The meal plan again follows, Monday, day 1, week 7, whatever it is that you're on. So it's very systematic.
Yeah. There's guidance in that and
Yes,
support. And so this is step one, step two, the best route to follow. But they have the access to everything in the library.
absolutely.
That's great. And
Yeah.
and what is that
Yeah.
website again?
Burnfatandfeast.com.
Nice and easy. And it's a BFF. I love the letters there. It's like best friend forever.
That's right. I know that
Fantastic.
was totally by chance. I created the program and just came up with a name because that's what I felt that I was doing, and just happened to be BFF. Here we are.
Yeah, that's great. Fantastic. Well, we should do another show. We can talk about more on the youth element as far as
Yeah,
the activities and diet and all that goes. And
absolutely. Would love it.
yeah, it was really great having you here today, and
Thank you.
really appreciated hearing your message. Sounds like you're doing great stuff and getting the word out.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.